Casanova. There was one a couple of months ago that
I think it was Casanova you messaged me about, and you were like, eh.
Carl and Dan here from Games, Brains, and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short, and we're back to do a reaction of a band that we've reacted to a few times in the past, in fact, and we're both big fans of. It is the Aussies themselves, Thornhill, with a new track called Hollywood, taken from their upcoming album, Heroin, out on June 3rd. Listen, I got nothing bad to say about Thornhill. I know we've had a few unusual things from them in recent times, but I am on that mind frame where it's like, hey, if they want to go in the new direction and it ain't for me, all power to you. Considering I'm quite a heavy critic of metalcore bands all putting the same stuff out and doing the same things, if Thornhill want to branch off and do something a little bit different, they can do. My only complaint about that is, Thornhill, you were one of the better ones. Don't leave us. Stay. You were one of the better
ones. No, I get that. Like, they have been dividing the metalcore community really, really harshly. You know, don't look at the metalcore subreddit. It's God.
I wouldn't anyway.
It's like no man's land.
That sort of subreddit is that image of Indiana Jones and the face melting. That's what would happen. I would never go there.
Their debut album, Dark Pool, love it. You know, their EP, You Got Me for Christmas, love it. Listen to it properly like the other day on vinyl. Really enjoyed it. Their new songs have definitely Casanova, I'm still not too hot on. Archangel and this one have grown on me a lot. First listen through, I was like,
okay.
They are growers, I think. You need to kind of listen to them a couple times, which you're going to struggle with, of course.
That's worrying, though, because that wasn't the case with Thornhill in the past.
Yeah, you never had the problem.
You instantly were like, oh, fuck, that's really good, or that's a really good riff there, or that's a really good little bit of a beat and rhythm there. You didn't need to go, oh, I need to listen to this more and more for it to grow on me. You listened to it more and more because you liked it and you wanted to hear more.
This is the problem that I'm having with it. It's like Thornhill caught me like that. It was their song Nurture. It was just the chorus, like it scratched a part of my brain, and I was like, oh, I listened to it like over and over again, and then I got to the rest of the album. I like this song. I listen to it quite a bit now. The other two not as much, but I am struggling with them now. Like I say they had stuck with that old sound, I would have pre-ordered like that. I haven't gone anywhere near it because I'm really struggling with these.
You don't even know if like the whole thing and all those songs end up on our album, and that's like a significant chunk, and you're like, okay, this ain't for me. We'll give it a go.
I want to hear the whole album before I pay for it.
No, fair enough. We'll give this a good go then. And open-minded, I do like Thornhill a lot, and I want to keep liking them. So 3, 2, 1, go.
For the record, I do like this song.
Why would you do that to his voice?
I think it's just part of the intro thing, but the mix is the biggest problem for me.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Really tucked back.
Okay, stepping up again. Did he not want his voice to be heard?
No.
I know what the problem is. It's just hit me. I'm going to save it till the song's over. I know what the problem is.
That's really cool.
That's really nice. I always want to write down what I'm thinking right now so I don't forget. Oh, still got like 40 seconds left.
It's just credits.
All right. Proof for the best. Well, oh, mate. So this is the problem. It's the fact that it's Thornhill. I'm telling you now, if this was a brand new band that nobody knew anything by, I think this would go down as quite an exciting and interesting song. I think it generally would. I think people will be a lot more enthused about it and going, hey, this is quite an intriguing band with some interesting ideas. The problem is this isn't a new band. This is a band that established a fan base with their sound and have, let's be honest, gone on for an interesting, I wouldn't necessarily say a 180-degree turn, because there's plenty of elements, particularly near the latter portion of the song, where I was like, yeah, this is what excited me about Thornhill. This is the stuff I liked and all that, but it's still very, very different. And that is a real problem, because if you build up a fan base, there is a big difference between adapting and evolving your sound and losing people along the way and just seemingly going, nah, we're going to do this completely. Because what it ends up doing is feeling like a betrayal to those people that supported you with that other sound. That is a problem in itself. Because I'm convinced now, based off the fact that I think this is a good song eventually. But I can't get past the fact that this is the same fucking band. And that is a real sticking point. And I can see it in the comments that that's a problem. And I almost feel sorry for them, where it's like, okay, if you wanted to do something brand new and something so wildly different than what you were doing before, should you be calling it Thornhill? And maybe that's the problem. Now, I realize, of course, I'm not saying they should change the name of it to band. I'm not saying that at all. I have no problem with what they're doing. I really, really don't. But I understand now where my mind's going, where it's causing such confusion. And this is just Hollywood. Go back to Casanova and that fucking wacky maddening. And that was the first example of this difference. So we've now had the third song to kind of get used to this, and clearly it's not working based off the comment section on YouTube alone. And I do wonder, because I think that song gets really, really strong, really, really, really powerful. It starts to clean itself up, because those first 2 to 3 minutes, 2.5, are almost unlistenable. That idea.
I said the same thing to Sean when this came out, that if it was anybody else, if this was any other band, this is why it's so disappointing to me, because I absolutely adore Thornhill. You know, I display their debut album up on my shelf up there next to Loathe and the new Pup album. You know, albums I hold in very high regard, and this is why it's so disappointing. If it had been Boy Division, I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah,
it's Thornhill, man.
Mad stuff, because again, and like you said when you said it, I get what you're saying. I kind of like the song, and I kind of want to give it a couple more goes to try and get it to settle in my head a little bit more. But I already know that I'm going to struggle with the first 2 to 3 minutes, because that mix and that idea, whoever's fucking genius idea was to bury those vocals, but also to put some effects on what is a guy that can sing. I don't get why you do that.
Got such a good singing voice.
Why would you do that?
I don't. This is a thing a lot of people complaining about, and in the weirdest way possible, Thornhill have kind of just thrown it back at everybody and gone, "Fuck off, we don't care." Yeah, I kind of respect them for it, because at the end of the day, it's your music. You know,
do exactly what you want to do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're going to stick to convictions, and let's say it flops hard and everyone shits on it, but you're like, you know, we don't care, we did it and whatever, and you continue that path, or you say, hey, we experimented, it didn't work out, maybe we shift things again and stuff like that. I am like you, I got no problem with it. No problem at all.
I just because it gets really good. This song gets really, really good. You know, it's all really, really. The first like minute or so is so fuzzy that the first time I was listening, I was like, is there something wrong with my internet? Because it was not. It sounded like it was in 320p. You know, like, and I made sure it was on like 4K. Once it gets into it, it's so good though, and that's annoying.
I wouldn't go that far.
For me,
it's so good. I think it gets good and it gets more interesting.
Opinions are opinions, you know. I'm allowed to think it's really good, you know.
No, I didn't say you weren't allowed to say it was really good. I'm saying, and likewise, in my opinion, I wouldn't agree that it gets really good. I think it gets interesting. And that's always a fascinating sort of area for me to go in, because when things are getting interesting, it's like that's the encouragement for me to want to explore it more. Sometimes it kind of go back to what we said in a much earlier video in this reaction series, when we talked about, okay, well, you can think something's just good and all that, and that's okay. But what I also want to see is I want it to be interesting, and I want to go, okay, what's going to draw me back to that? But you have to get past, we have to get past something that a part of a song, which is a 5+ minute song, so it's a decent chunk of it, that just isn't that interesting, just isn't particularly good or exciting. And it's, you said like 320p, but I don't get it, because even as a stylistic choice, what was your whole thing? Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll make the first part shit so that they really appreciate the second half.
Yeah, what was the goal? Like, make the first minute sound like shit, so the rest sounds really good in comparison. Like,
I can't quite fathom the thinking behind that. Obviously, they know what they're doing. Obviously, I hope they know what they're doing. And I feel like they've obviously got some overarching design for this album, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, clearly they do. And it could just be experimentation that will end up failing, or it could be experimentation that ends up blowing up when you hear it in conjunction with the album in full.
Yeah.
And it ends up working quite nice. Because I think that's an important aspect to always remember as well. A single is a single, but hearing a single in relation to an album can often change your perceptions on how that song sounds.
Yeah,
if this comes
100%.
after, I'll give you a good example. If this was to come after Casanova on the album, this would probably improve quite tenfold, I think. Because you'd be like, oh God, because I really don't like Casanova. And you'd be like, okay, this is here now.
It's not after Case, like there's a song after Casanova and then it's Hollywood.
Okay, right. So that one in the middle is going to be quite important then, isn't it?
Casanova is the 6th song on the album. It is like dead in the middle.
All right. I'll be interested to see what that song in the middle of those two is then, right? Because that's going to be quite quite an important track, I'd imagine, if it's the bridge between those two. Here's the thing. Similar to other bands, I don't particularly love Thornhill's fan bass. But it is interesting to sort of see a little bit of united front on this. Oh, don't get me wrong, every so often you look through the comments, you get, don't call people haters because they don't like a fucking song by a band you used to like. Don't be a stupid child who still goes around using terms like haters. It's not hating, it's not liking it. And that's like people, Dan to themselves, it's an opinion. Let people have their opinions. Unless they're saying the world is flat, that's, then you can shout down their stupidity. But when it's simply, that song doesn't appeal to me, or you love that song.
Yeah, you're allowed to like what you want,
Absolutely. All I ever ask of things like that is, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What do you like about it? What I don't like about it. So you can kind of sometimes, hopefully, often meet a nice middle ground where you're like, you know what, you actually make a good point about that and stuff like that, Sometimes it's easy. We're both pretty much in sync here. We both dislike a lot of the same things. We both kind of like how it gets better in the second half. I think you like it more than I do. But I think that's because you said at the start that you've listened to this a few times and it's a grower for you. This is my first go.
The first time I listened to it, I did not like this. I was like, wow, because I listened to it with Sean. She was sitting over there, and I was like, wow, that was shit. I did not like that. But it has definitely grown on me.
Yes, I haven't come in saying it's shit from the start. So I do wonder then, after a couple more listens. Yeah, like if in a couple of listens, then I'm gonna be like, it's the best Thornhill track ever. Fuck off, all you haters. I don't know. It's an interesting journey Thornhill are on, and I look forward to sort of seeing where it ends up, really.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you reckon? You got any thoughts on it? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal, what else is life for?